Mama, Uncle Joseph did not pick my calls. I will do anything to make sure you're strong again.
Everything will be okay, my dear.
Mary sat quietly on the small plastic chair beside her mother's hospital bed, staring at the white tiled floor. The sound of machines beeping softly filled the room. Her mother looked weak, very weak. Her breathing was slow, and every few seconds she would cough softly, struggling to catch her breath. Just 3 days ago, her mother had still been able to walk. She had only complained about feeling tired and having sharp pains in her chest, but everything had changed quickly. The doctor had run several tests and later called Mary outside the ward. Mary remembered the way the doctor had folded his arms and looked at her carefully.
Your mother's condition is serious.
Mary's heart had dropped immediately.
What do we need to do, doctor?
She needs urgent treatment and medication. But it will cost money. If we delay too long, her condition may get worse.
Mary felt like the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. Money. That was the one thing she did not have. Mary and her mother had never been rich. They had only managed to survive because her mother sold fried yam and akara in the small market near their house. Since her father died 6 years ago, her mother had done everything alone. She woke up before sunrise every day to prepare beans for the market. She carried heavy bucket of blended beans on her head and stood under the hot sun for hours just to earn enough money to buy food and pay Mary's school fees. Mary knew how hard her mother worked, but now her mother was lying weak in a hospital bed, and Mary had no idea how to help her. That afternoon, Mary stepped outside the hospital ward and took out her small phone. She scrolled through her contact list slowly. Uncle Joseph, she called. The phone rang for a long time. No answer. She called again. This time, the call ended quickly. Next, she called her mother's cousin. The phone rang once before it was rejected. These were the same relatives who used to visit their house during holidays. The same people who ate food her mother cooked. But now that she needed help, none of them were answering. Mary leaned against the hospital wall and tried another number. Still nothing. The realization slowly sank into her heart. There was no one to call. No one was coming to help them. Mary wiped her eyes quickly before walking back into the hospital room. Her mother opened her eyes weakly when she heard the door.
Mary.
Yes, Mama.
Did the doctor say anything?
They're still running some tests.
She lied. Her mother looked at her quietly for a few seconds. Even in her weak condition, she could sense something was wrong.
My daughter, everything will be okay.
Mary nodded, but her throat felt tight. She knew things were not okay. That evening, the nurse came into the room with a small file.
Your mother's medication needs to be paid for before tomorrow morning.
Mary looked at the paper the nurse handed to her. The amount written there made her heart sink. She had never seen that much money before. She stepped outside again and sat on a wooden bench near the hospital entrance. Cars drove in and out of the compound. People walked past her. But Mary felt completely alone. For a long time, she just sat there thinking. Then suddenly, she wiped her face and stood up. If no one was going to help them, then she would help herself. Mary looked down at her worn slippers. She had never walked before, but she knew one thing. She could not sit and watch her mother suffer. Even if the job was small, even if it was hard, she would do anything. That afternoon, Mary left the hospital compound and began walking through the busy streets of the town. She walked past shops, small businesses, and roadside stores. Finally, she stopped in front of a small local restaurant. People sat inside eating and talking loudly. Mary took a deep breath. Her heart was beating fast. She slowly stepped inside. A woman behind the counter looked at her.
Yes?
Please. Do you have any job I can do?
The restaurant owner looked at her for a moment.
What kind of job?
Anything. I just need work.
The restaurant owner looked Mary up and down for a moment. She was thin, her clothes were simple, and her slippers looked worn from long use.
You look young.
I'm 16.
Well, I can't promise much money, but if you are willing to work, you can wash plates in the back.
I will do it.
Go through that door. The sink is there.
Mary walked into the kitchen and immediately felt the heat hit her face. The small kitchen was busy. Steam rose from large pots. Plates clattered. Someone shouted for more soup. Another person carried trays of food to the dining area. In the corner, there was a long metal sink filled with dirty plates stacked high.
You will wash all these plates. When customers finish eating, the waiters will bring the plates here. Wash them quickly.
Yes, Ma.
Mary tied the apron around her waist. The first time she dipped her hands into the greasy water, she almost pulled them back. The plates were oily and covered with leftover food, but she didn't complain. She began scrubbing, plate after plate, cup after cup. Her fingers quickly became wrinkled from the water. Her back began to ache from standing. But every time she felt tired, she remembered the hospital. She remembered her mother lying weakly in that bed, so she kept working. Hours passed. The restaurant slowly filled with customers as evening approached. People came in to eat rice, soup, fried meat and roasted fish. Plates kept arriving at the sink. Mary washed them as fast as she could. By the time night came, her arms felt heavy. The restaurant owner came into the kitchen and placed a small plate of food on the table.
Eat.
Thank you.
She ate slowly, thankful for it. That night, she returned to the hospital to check on her mother
Good night, Mama.
before sleeping on a small bench in the waiting area. The next morning, she returned to the restaurant again. The same routine continued. It was exhausting work, but Mary didn't complain. Every day, she saved the small money she earned. She was slowly getting closer to paying part of the hospital bill. Then one afternoon, something happened that changed everything. The restaurant was busy again. Mary stepped out of the kitchen to help clear tables. She picked up empty plates from one table where a woman had just finished eating. The woman looked well dressed. She had eaten quietly, paid her bill and walked out. Mary stacked the plates carefully. Then something caught her eye. There was a brown wallet on the table. Mary paused. She looked around the restaurant. The woman who had been sitting there was already gone. Mary picked up the wallet slowly. It felt thick. Her heart began to beat faster. She opened it carefully. Inside, there were several cards, an identification card, and a large amount of cash. More money than Mary had ever held in her hands before. Her breath caught in her throat. She looked toward the restaurant door. Through the window, she could see the woman walking toward her car in the parking area. Mary looked back at the wallet again. Her mind began racing. That money could pay for her mother's treatment. It could clear the hospital bills. It could buy medicine. Her hands trembled slightly. For a moment, just a moment, a dangerous thought entered her mind. What if she kept it? No one saw her pick it up. The woman had already left. Maybe she would never come back. Mary closed her eyes briefly. Then another image appeared in her mind. Her mother's voice. Her mother always said one thing whenever they passed by the market. Mary, never take what does not belong to you. Even when life is hard, your character must remain clean. Mary opened her eyes. She looked at the wallet again. Then she looked toward the parking lot where the woman was about to enter her car. Her decision was made. Mary grabbed the wallet tightly and ran toward the door.
Wait!
You forgot your wallet. My wallet?
You could have kept this.
It is not mine. My mother always told me not to take what doesn't belong to me.
What is your name?
My name is Mary.
Well, Mary, you just did something very rare. Thank you. How old are you?
16.
16? And you're working here already?
Yes, Ma.
Shouldn't you be in school? What is it? Tell me.
My mother is sick. She is in the hospital right now. The doctor said she needs treatment, but we don't have the money. My father died years ago, and our relatives, they stopped answering my calls. I didn't know what else to do, so I came here to look for work.
You're working just to pay the hospital bills?
Yes, Ma.
The woman glanced down at the wallet still in her hand. Inside it was more money than Mary could earn in months. Yet the girl had run outside to return it. She looked back at Mary again.
What hospital is your mother in?
Vivi Medical Care.
Then the woman brought out her phone.
Mary, do you mind if I record you? I want you to repeat everything you just told me.
Okay, it started when I was...
Mary repeated everything she had just told her about her sick mother in the hospital, her father who had died years ago, the relatives who stopped answering her calls, and how she started working at the restaurant to pay the hospital bills. When she finished, the woman posted the video on her social media page. Mary watched quietly, not really understanding what was happening. After a moment, the woman showed her the video.
Because the world needs to see people like you,
she said.
Well, thank you again for the wallet.
Mary stood there for a moment before returning to the restaurant. Inside, Mary tied her apron again and returned to the kitchen sink. She had no idea that somewhere across the city, people were already watching her story. Within an hour, Grace's post began spreading. By nightfall, the story of the girl who returned the wallet had traveled farther than Mary could ever imagine. That evening, Mary finished washing the last batch of plates in the restaurant kitchen. Her back ached. Her hands were wrinkled from hours of hot water and soap. But she didn't complain. She untied the apron slowly and handed it back to the restaurant owner. "Thank you for letting me work today," she said politely. The woman nodded. "You worked hard. You can come again tomorrow." Mary thanked her and stepped outside into the evening air. The sky was beginning to turn orange as the sun slowly set. She began walking back toward the hospital. Her steps were slow from exhaustion, but her mind was still thinking about her mother. She hoped the doctors had not stopped her treatment. She hoped nothing had gotten worse. When Mary finally reached the hospital compound, she walked quickly into the ward. But something felt strange immediately. The nurse at the front desk looked at her and smiled.
Mary?
Yes,
Where have you been?
I went to work.
Your mother's hospital bill has been paid.
I'm sorry, what?
Someone paid everything.
Mary's heart began to beat fast.
Who paid it?
Several payments started coming in this evening.
Mary stood there completely confused. She hurried into the ward and saw her mother sitting up slightly in bed. Her mother looked stronger than before.
Mary. Mama. They said someone paid the hospital bills.
Yes. The doctor came earlier. He said people have been sending money.
Why?
It started from something posted online.
Mary's eyes widened. Online. Suddenly, she remembered Grace, the wallet, the post. Her hand slowly covered her mouth in shock. Could it be? Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She quickly pulled it out. There were dozens of messages, missed calls, notifications. Her heart raced as she opened one of the messages. It was a link to a post, Grace's post. Mary stared at the screen. Thousands of people had shared it. Comments kept pouring in. People were writing, "Where can we donate? Let's help this girl. Her honesty deserves support." More notifications appeared. Donations, more donations. Mary's eyes filled with tears. One honest decision, one simple moment, and suddenly everything had changed. Over the next few days, the story continued to spread across the country. News pages began sharing it, radio stations talked about it, television stations invited Grace to speak about the girl who returned her wallet. People kept donating money. Soon, Mary's mother received more than enough for her full treatment. The doctors were able to begin proper care immediately. But the blessings did not stop there. A university organization saw Mary's story and offered her a full scholarship to study when she finished secondary school.
We would like to offer you a full scholarship.
Another group helped open a small palm oil business for her mother so she would never have to struggle in the market again. And soon after that, something even more surprising happened. A media management agency contacted Mary. They wanted to help her start creating content online. They believed her story could inspire many young people. Within months, Mary began sharing her life story and encouraging others to choose honesty even in difficult situations. People followed her page, her videos began to reach thousands, then millions. But something else also happened. The same relatives who once ignored her calls suddenly started reaching out again. Uncle Joseph called, her mother's cousins sent messages, some even came to visit. But Mary had changed. She had learned something important. That day at the restaurant, she had faced a simple choice: keep the wallet or return it. It had seemed like a small decision at the time, but that one honest decision had changed the direction of her entire life, and Mary never forgot that lesson, because sometimes one moment of integrity can open doors that money alone never could.
No matter how hard life is, always choose honesty.